So we've had a question come in from Gary, and he's asked, what is the difference between PVC, low smoke non-halogen, and also LSF, and whether there's a difference? So we're going to try and answer that in a short video. So both are thermoplastic compounds, which means they can be heated up into a molten state and then extruded. The key differences is how they behave in fire conditions. So there's many terms for low smoke non-halogen cables. Our trade name is low smoke non-halogen LSNH. Others would include OHLS, LSZH, etc. There are many of them. The term LSF used to be interchangeable with those, but now you have to be a bit wary because as the UK cable industry has declined in quality over recent decades, some manufacturers actually use the term LSF to mean lower smoke and fume, rather than a true low smoke non-halogen. The key differences can be demonstrated by burning these compounds in controlled conditions. So when we burn the PVC compound, it gives off a black smoke and typically around 28% hydrogen chloride emissions. A true LSNH compound would then produce less than 0.5% hydrogen chloride emissions, and you don't get the black smoke coming off of it. And then a good estimate of LSF in the current marketplace is around 18 to 22% hydrogen chloride emissions. So it's closer to a PVC than it is to a low smoke non-halogen. To go into a bit of technical detail, low smoke non-halogen compounds mainly incorporate an inorganic filler called aluminium trihydrate, or ATH for short. And this is the key part of the compound that limits smoke emission and acid gas. Because of this, cables do become more difficult to work with, and the compound is stiffer, more difficult to route, and it's also a bit more difficult to strip because of this filler in the compound. This is incidentally why on our 6242B products we had a central groove, and the whole intention of that is to make it easier to strip. So we're aware that LSF compounds, or LSNH compounds, I should say, are more difficult to strip, and we put a groove down the centre so you can follow that with a knife, or if you're choosing to pull the CPC through there, there's less sheathing compound to pull through. Some other points to note are that even true low smoke non-halogen compounds are not necessarily fire retardant. So a cross-linked polythene is an example of a low smoke non-halogen compound. However, it's not great in fire conditions as the polythene content can actually propagate flames. Application-wise and where to use it, it's best to follow the wiring regulations and the guidance in there. An interesting point is that sometimes it's not the risk of injury or harm to individuals, why LSNH would be specified. Data centres, as an example, have expensive electrical equipment in them. And the hydrogen chloride that is emitted when PVC burns is very corrosive when coming into contact with moisture. So sometimes it can just be to protect the equipment, not necessarily protect the people. There have been many documented cases where LSF has been incorrectly used, and it's a confusing subject. So in my opinion, the easiest way to ensure compliance is choosing a reputable and well-known cable manufacturer. Hopefully that answers all your questions, Gary, and if anyone else has any questions that they'd like to be answered, just send them in the comments or direct messages.